is Joy News Prime.
A warm welcome to this edition of Joy News Prime here on Joy News on Multi-TV and available on London-based ABN Television. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, key personalities formalize their interest in running for Parliament on the ticket of the National Democratic Congress as the party opens nominations. Opposition New Patriotic Party to petition ECOWAS over its call for a new voters register for the 2016 polls. Kumasi police in manhunt for two suspects said to be the city's car snatching kingpins. Accra Mayor assures the city's garbage disposal problems will be over once the AMA is able to acquire its new landfill site at Ashalaja here in Accra. And in business, former President Kufuor urges government to take drastic measures to save the local currency from total collapse. In sports, Usain Bolt has made it a sprint double at the IAAF Championship. We'll also bring you international news. My name is Israel Lai. Stay tuned. Now, it's been a day full of surprises with some eye-popping characters formalizing their interest in running for Parliament on the ticket of the governing National Democratic Congress by going to pick their nomination forms. In the last couple of hours, Joy News can confirm that some interesting names, including ex-convict and former sports minister and the Kufuor administration, Barima Osei Asare, have picked up parliamentary nomination forms on the very first day the party opened nominations. Now, head of our political desk, Evans Mensi, joins me in the studio with more. Good evening to you, Evans.
Good evening.
So interesting developments all through the day. On the very first day that the NDC decided to open nominations. First of all, let's start with Barima Osei Asare. Yeah. He's a known member of the PNC. Yes. How come he has picked nominations contests?
Well, he explains that it turns out he's been in the NDC since 2003. Well, up until now, everybody thought PNC, but he says he's been on the quiet supporting the NDC and obviously will be holding a party card for more than 2 years, because you need to hold a party card for more than 2 years to qualify to run on the ticket of the party. He says, in fact, that in the last elections, he was contacted by the party executives, sort of trying to convince him to run, and he says he wasn't ready. That's his word. So we have to take it as he says it. But it's an interesting one. Okay.
Now, but let's stay with Adenta constituency, which is where he intends to run. Yeah. Let's look at the names that are coming up in Adenta. We're looking at Barima Osei Asare, and then there's
the son of the PNC national chairman, Mohammed Ramadan, is also picking up forms. Okay. And there's Ashimor, who is incumbent, also picking up forms. So these are the three key.
And then Katra
also, and she's been fighting with Ashimor. Remember when there was a land dispute when she was then the MC for the area? There was a huge fight between herself and Ashimor, and she took the side of, we are going to evict you from the land. Ashimor took the side of the people, saying, well, you can't just evict them, you need to have a human face. So that's going to be an interesting one also to watch.
All right, so therefore Adenta is certainly going to be a keen one.
And there's a reason why it's going to be key, because even before now, we thought the character of Mohammed Ramadan was interesting because he, of course, of his lineage, he comes from a PNC family. His brother, who is a PNC national youth organizer, his father is a PNC national chairman. He turns out to be in NDC and picks up NDC forms to contest. But obviously, Barima Osei Asare one is interesting because it's an ex-convict. He was sentenced to 4 years for failing to account for $46,000. You remember when that money was supposed to be bonuses for the Black Stars. He came back, he was prosecuted by Kufuor and jailed. Then he was pardoned. He says tonight that if you look at the Constitution, after 10 years, if you've been pardoned, you can contest to go to Parliament, and that is why he's going. There's no legal issues barring him at all
from Adenta. Let's move to Ningo Pram, which is another interesting area. We're told that Sam George has picked his nomination.
Sam George has picked nominations, and he is talking big. He says, E.T. Mensah is a fading force. Let's look at that. Let's put that to some scrutiny. If you look at the figures, though, just look at 2008, 2012. You see that E.T. Mensah statistically is not performing as well, because E.T. Mensah used to win this hands down 90%. He's an institution there. But 2008, that's where he got his highest numbers yet. If you look at the trend over since 1992, he's been there for long. He got 71.47% of the votes in 2008. But in 2012, he only managed to get 54%. That's a huge drop. Yeah. And the NPP in that constituency has been gaining, rather. NPP in 2008 only got 24%. In 2012, they managed to get 43% compared to E.T. Mensah's 54%. And that is what Sam George is writing on, saying the man is a fading force. If you leave him alone to run, possibly we might lose this. I'm the man for the job.
Essentially, it confirms what the figures are telling you.
Yes.
But then what's going to happen if the two of them are going head to head? Isn't they going to split their front?
That is what is going to happen. This is a primary. Okay, this is a primary. And so what it is this is an internal party affair. Whoever wins the primary stands alone against the MPP. And it's a case of who is going to win the primary. I suspect very strongly, knowing who E.T. Mensah is, he's been there for so long, he is going to win this. And it's not a case of whether he's going to win or not, by how much he wins.
Are they actually related as in family?
I don't know that.
Okay.
But whatever it is, it's going to be an interesting one, because Sam George has a strong grounding in Ningo Pram Pram. Note, he has godfathers at the Flagstaff House. He's been working there for a long, long time. Worked with Prof. Mills, is working with the current president. So the godfather effect might come to play here.
Okay.
Does E.T. Mensah still wield that power and influence? Remember, E.T. Mensah is one of those categories of the three wise men.
Yeah.
And people thought when this president came into being, and John Mahama sidelined himself, sidelined Alban Babing, and sidelined Cletus Avoka. And so people look at that and say, maybe going into this, the godfathers in the party are behind Sam George to win it. And maybe that's why he's talking big, because he knows what is backing him.
Okay, now still in the ongoing NDC primary, Accra Mayor Alfred Okuvandapo is said to be among a list of persons interested in running for parliament on the ticket of the governing party. You may see it as a demotion, considering the influence he wields in his current position as mayor of the capital. But the mayor, who confirmed he's considering the idea, says he doesn't quite see it as a demotion.
No, right now I'm enjoying being mayor of Accra. Nobody knows what will happen 6 hours from now, tomorrow. But when I decide that that's what I want to do, I think I will move forward. But you know, as mayor of Accra, you can only run 2 terms. You can only be mayor for 2 terms. And so my second term is almost coming to an end. You understand? By the end of 2016, I would have finished my second term. So I have to find out what my new line of work would be.
All right, so interesting one there, Accra Mayor, Alfred Vanderpoy. I mean, I'm thinking that if you've been a mayor, why do you move from mayor to MP?
Well, he's giving you a reason. He says, I can only serve for 2 terms. And I'm barred
Take
constitutionally.
a bow.
Well, I want to still be in politics. I want to go into parliament where I can be there forever, so far as I get the votes in my constituency. And he wants to go for the seat that currently held by Fritz Barfour.
Okay.
And we know Fritz Barfour might not be going, and therefore that might be encouraging him to go. And so he's pretty confident. He comes from there, speaks the language, and might be able to win.
Previous names that have come up, Senator Rawlings,
absolutely.
Clotte.
It's been rumored, but today we can confirm. Political desks have confirmed that it's a done deal. She is going to run. There is an interesting thing that might play up that we should watch very carefully. The interesting family background will play very strongly. We know that the mother, the former president's wife, broke away from the party, formed her own party. In fact, ran the ticket of the party, became the party's presidential candidate. But the founder of the party still remains with the party. That is going to be an interesting thing to watch for her. But she's going to go in Clotte Corley. And the reason why, if she runs, she stands a good chance is because the incumbent there, the NDC incumbent, Niyama Shite, won that seat by a narrow margin. Between himself and the MPP candidate, only won it by a difference of some 1.5% votes. So if she runs, and with all the I guess, the family background and history behind her, she can make the point that if you allow Nneɛma Ashitey to run again, if you see how close it was, you don't want to risk it. Give it to somebody like me who has name recognition, exactly, and might win the vote for you.
Right.
And the key thing for the NDC is they only will select somebody who will win them the votes. So whether it's a Zanato or Nneɛma Ashitey, can you win us the votes when it comes to 2016? That will be the only consideration for the NDC.
Thank you very much, Evans Mensah. Evans Mensah is head of our political desk, and this should tell you this is the best political team on TV, radio, online, and this is where you have to stay. In other news, the New Patriotic Party is taking its campaign for the compilation of a new voters register beyond the shores of Ghana. The party is preparing a petition to be placed before the West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS. The NPP has been insisting over the past few weeks that the existing electoral roll is bloated and therefore not fit for purpose. Their demands have been met with opposition from the governing NDC, and now the opposition party feels it might get some traction by internationalizing a domestic disagreement. Peter McMenu is a former chairman of the NPP.
We presented our materials to bring pressure to bear on the government of Ghana and the Electoral Commission to do a new voters register for the 2016 election. Well, we found out some new photographs in Accra constituencies, even as far as Bantama. So we are compiling all these to the ECOWAS chairman in Senegal, copy to the president of Togo, Faure Eyadema. And then we take one to President Buhari of Nigeria. We are taking one to President Buhari of Nigeria because recently in his United States tour, he met the Institute of Peace in Washington and told them that he had contested elections 4 times in Nigeria. And he knows the fraud and rigging that goes into an election and its effect on Africa, violence, wars, etc. So he's not going to countenance electoral fraud. So we want to bring this to his attention. Coming events can be assured the use of bloated register constitute fraud in an election.
Meanwhile, speakers at a forum organized by the Coalition for the Defense of Equal Citizenship, CODEC, have rejected calls for the compilation of a new voters register for the 2016 presidential and parliamentary elections, arguing it is a fruitless venture that will cost the country too much. The Electoral Commission has invited the political parties to state their positions on the proposal to get a new voters roll put forward by the main opposition party, the New Patriotic Party. But the speakers at the forum, including the General Secretary of the People's National Convention, say the compilation of the new register will not address the bloating of the register.
The NPP has on several occasions called the credibility of the current voters register into question, describing it as bloated and needing a review. The flag bearer Nana Akufo-Addo appealed to the new chairman of the EC to give Ghana a fresh start by compiling a new one. But not everyone agrees. At the forum organized by the Coalition for the Defense of Equal Citizenship, CODEC, the speakers, including the managing editor of the Insight newspaper, Kwesi Pratt, argued against it.
This is not the first voters register that we have crafted. In 1992, we had a voters register. When we finished the elections, some people came up and said, no, this voters register cannot be credible. So we compiled another one. We took it for another election. At the end of the election, in spite of the fact that we had a new voters register, the same people came and said, no, it is still not credible.
Acting Executive Director of National Service Scheme, Dr. Pesa White, also disputed the findings of the research supporting the NPP's petition for a new voters register. A new register, according to him, will only serve to give a fresh opportunity for more minors to get registered.
Biometric facial recognition technology and biometric fingerprint technology are two different biometric methods. It is not possible to use one to ascertain the validity or the veracity of the other. And so anyone who claims to be using facial identification technology to ascertain what in our electoral register is fingerprint technology is either trying to be mischievous or deliberately dishonest.
General Secretary for the People's National Convention, Bernard Mona, proposed ways to address the challenge of a bloated register.
What it simply tells us is that the solution to a bloated register or an incredible register is not a new register. And I was hoping that in the analysis that were done, the call particularly by Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, that a new register is the panacea to the problems that confront our nation, they would have told us that after a new register, we are not going to have issues of a bloated register.
The speakers were part of a discussion aimed at maintaining the integrity of the current voters register. Matilda Pomaga for Joy News, Accra.
Still to come in business, former President Kufuor urges government to take drastic measures to save the local currency from total collapse.
Now it's already more than 4 cedis to the dollar. If we are not careful, it will keep on dropping, and then we go back to the times when you want to buy bread, you have to get a wheelbarrow to put your cedis in to go and buy just a loaf of bread.
And residents of Upper East Region District of Nabdam appeal for chemicals to help them fight an invasion of black flies, discouraging farmers from attending to their farms. We'll be back in a bit. Police in Kumasi are on a manhunt for 2 people they describe as car-snatching kingpins. The suspects have been named as Ebenezer Kofi Osei and Eric Awajemengsan. A suspected accomplice who is in police custody named the 2 alleged fugitives as masterminds behind a recent robbery at a hotel in Kumasi. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin reports.
Police say Ebenezer Osei and Eric Mensah stormed the hotel and forced the receptionist at gunpoint to lead them to a guest's room. They took his Nissan pickup keys and drove off. They later allegedly changed the vehicle's registration number and attempted to sell it. A tracking device in the vehicle, however, prevented them from getting the vehicle to a potential buyer. Police then tracked them, feigned interest to buy it, and later intercepted it.
Immediately the matter was reported to us, we set out on it. Likely on our part, the owner of the vehicle had fitted a tracking device in it. So the tracking device helped us a lot. And at the end of the day, we were able to arrest one of the suspects. 2 of them are currently on the run. And our investigations indicate that they have robbed a number of vehicles from people. So they are experts in that particular job. And the 2 who are on the run are the kingpins.
While appealing for public cooperation in the search for the suspects, police advised motorists to consider the use of tracking devices.
1, put it in the public domain so that the public will help us arrest them. And 2, tell owners of vehicles to be extra careful and also to fix tracking devices in their vehicles so that in a situation where they are robbed, it can assist the police to get their vehicles retrieved.
The Accra Metropolitan Assembly is promising to take major steps to help deal with the city's waste management challenges. Mayor Alfred Okovandapoy says one of the key strategies is to acquire a new landfill site at Ashalaja near Accra. Currently, garbage trucks are forced to travel long distances to dump the city's waste, a situation which frustrates waste management here in Accra. But all this, Mr. Vandapoy says, would soon be a thing of the past.
We are completing the acquisition of the land. We are getting the financing. We are working with the ministry and the development partners so that we can get that to come about, for the dumping of our refuse. But we can't sit down and wait for that to occur before we maintain sanitary conditions in the city. Because right now we have somewhere to dump, and we are dumping in those areas. But those agendas and those developments will also come to positive conclusions for our city's development. But we want to, at this stage, establish the fact that there must be law and order in Accra. We must not compromise public safety, and we must not lower the sanitation standards. And we must work together to reduce the indiscipline in Accra and raise the standard of discipline so that everybody will go about their business in Accra, knowing that public safety must be number one.
Elsewhere, the people of Bimbilla and the Nanumba North District of the Northern Region are appealing for a review of the curfew hours in the town. The curfew was slapped on the town after 13 people were killed in recent clashes between butchers and supporters of the traditional authorities. Residents say the curfew is taking a toll on economic activities.
This curfew has even caused a point that even human beings have to go and sleep whilst animals are outside. And there's no sense in it. I think the government should just do something. He should just show the people that, oh, this is the power he contains and this is what he can do. Because he can't just give a judgment, then later on people will come around and be fighting once again. Since this curfew started, schools have to even close down. SS graduates, they have to move back to where they are coming from, and it's truly affecting us.
We have not been able to learn as students, and most of us here, not all the things we learn in class that we know. And we have formed group studies that they can help us, those who know what we don't know, they can help us to study. But due to this curfew that has just occurred, we can't come together as students to study. And this appeal to the government to come to our aid. They should do something about it. They shouldn't just sit there and forget about us suffering as a student, because they expect us to pass, and if we didn't pass as students, we will not be able to move forward.
An invasion of black flies in the Nabdam district of the Upper East region is adversely affecting agricultural production in the area. Farmers have been so put off by the irritating bites of the insects that they are choosing to rather stay indoors. Our Upper East correspondent Albert Sor visited the area and our reports.
The black fly is about twice the size of a mosquito. As its name implies, it is black in color and has a harder surface compared to a mosquito. Bites from black flies are much more painful and irritating than those mosquito bites. Apart from their painful, irritating bites, black flies are known to be the main vector for the transmission of the parasite that causes river blindness. These dangerous flies have invaded some communities in the Nabdam district of the Upper East region. Residents are having a tough time dealing with the flies and their irritating bites.
The problem is even about this is saying that the flies, they don't cause any harm to us. What about the flies entering our nose, biting us? Look at the skin. They will turn your skin like anything. Besides, even food, if you are eating, some of the flies, they will enter to the food and you put into your mouth. Your eyes, everywhere, any open part of your body, the flies will go in.
The environmental health officer for the Nabdam district, Pastor Isaac Yen, says the only way to eliminate the black flies is for the area to be sprayed with chemicals. But the district cannot afford these.
Limited. We have been talking, but we are thinking that we getting you people today is a blessing for us. You let our request go far. But in this one, what we know as the community members is, we saw that it was headquarters that sprayed this thing. And this community, what can we do?
As they await help from central government or some other international organization, the people of Nabdam are just playing it safe by choosing to stay indoors. But as the days go by, their farms remain untended and their very livelihoods are under threat.
Now, one of the landmark decisions taken by government during the last energy crisis in 2007 was the mass replacement of the high energy consuming incandescent bulbs, also known as onion bulbs, with the energy-efficient compact fluorescent lamps, or CFLs, which use between 50 and 80% less energy. Experts say that single decision saved the country 124 megawatts of electricity in 2008, enough to power all three regions in the north of Ghana, as well as the Brunhafu region. 7 years on, an energy expert, Kobna Nyante, is advocating a similar move, this time the replacement of the CFLs with the more energy-efficient LEDs.
Ghana first went through a revolution in which we migrated from the filament bulbs, the old filament bulbs, because they were consuming so much energy and they were not giving us the kind of brightness that we wanted. We moved to what we now call the energy saving bulbs. Now the energy saving bulbs, now we've developed LED bulbs which actually give the same brightness as the energy saving bulbs but consume very little energy. So you can have, like say, 100-watt energy saving bulb and also have a 20-watt LED bulb, and they will give you the same the brightness. So if you compare the two, you see that by using the LED bulbs, you're saving about 80% of energy. So as much as we talk about making sure we're producing more energy, it makes absolute sense for the government to go through or promote another revolution in which we're moving from the energy-saving bulbs that we're used to the LED bulbs.
Mr. Nyansa is also asking government to provide a subsidy for local companies that can produce these energy-saving bulbs. We're taking a break. We have business news coming up thereafter. Don't go away.
Business news.
Right, this is time for business, and there's no Abigail and there's no Etonam, it's me. And straight away, former President John Ejikunkufo is asking government to immediately adopt aggressive measures to grow and diversify the country's exports as a way of stemming the continuous depreciation of the Ghana cedi. The local currency has seen quite a sharp decline in value in recent times and has depreciated by some 20% since the beginning of this year. President Kufo tells Joy Business government needs to act swiftly.
Diversify, not just diversify. More, I'm focusing on what to do to encourage products that can be exported to earn the hard currency. Because without that, and if we remain import dependent, we would have to find the hard currency to import what we need and also to boost the cedi. Because look, when you go to our markets, our mothers, sisters, wives, they are having to travel internationally to buy things to come and sell in the markets. You go to our nearby neighbors like Togo and offer cedi, whether they will accept. They won't take your cedi. So where do we get the hard currency? And if we're going to get the hard currency, it would mean developing the manufacturing and other export commodities which would earn the hard currency, which would then sort of buoy our cedi up. Without that, the cedi might fall. Now it's already more than 4 cedis to the dollar. If we are not careful, it would keep on dropping, and then we go back to the times when you want to buy bread, you have to get a wheelbarrow.
Chief Executive of UT Bank, Prince Kofi Amabeng, has reiterated the need for a reliable address system as one of the sure ways to hold interest rates down. Addressing a symposium to celebrate the 5th anniversary of microfinance firm Ideal Finance, he explained the inability of financial institutions to easily locate the homes of borrowers is a major reason why the cost of loans is that high.
The event, which brought together key players in the financial sector, was part of activities to celebrate the 5th anniversary of Ideal Finance. Discussed and deliberated on how to build a strong private sector in Ghana and the role of financial institutions. Several speakers at the event noted that revenue mobilization was key in developing the economy. One of them is the Chief Executive of IPMC, Ahmad Debsan Hari.
When the government has lesser revenues, it is forced to borrow money from the private sector at a high interest rate. And then we complain that the cost of doing business in Ghana is high. We have put ourselves in a vicious circle, but then who is the cause of this? Is it not we ourselves, the private sector? Yes, it is each of us, the individuals whose mindsets, and I'm sorry to say that yes, our mindsets are corrupt and adamant. Even the taxes which accrue from our business activities, we just do not want to pay. What to pay? We do not even want to register our business, and we completely want to avoid paying taxes. If we will continue to indulge in unhealthy business practices, in no time we will make our entire economy sick and die.
Chief Executive of UT Bank, Prince Kofi Amabeng, later explained to Joy Business that the address system remains critical in driving down interest rates.
The economy is not being handled well. The cedi is falling, inflation is going up, and if you drill down to the real causes, the cause is that government is not raising enough revenue to be able to undertake recurrent expenditure and develop. Then ask yourself, why is the government not able to raise the required revenue? Because people are making money. It's because we don't have information about them. So we don't know who owns what they do, what they are getting out of it for government to really raise revenues. People own properties, for example. How much are they paying for owning these properties? Nothing. So that is the underlying cause of most of these problems. If we get it right and people are responsible and made accountable, these problems will go away.
Workers of destination inspection companies are calling on government to integrate them into any of the institutions that will be operating the single window scheme at the ports from next month. Over 700 workers are to lose their jobs in the next 5 days because of customs takeover of the role of the destination inspection companies. Joy Business editor Emmanuel J was at Ghana Link Network Services, one of the affected companies, and has come through with this report.
By the 1st of September, we're going to have about 750 workers lose their jobs. And the question is that, how does it feel?
As per the letter they gave us, ending this month, we are going home. And we don't know our fate yet. We have siblings, we have dependents. Some of us, personally, I hold masters in port and shipping administration, such a specialized skill. I'm good with what? I don't know where I'm going to find work in this economic hardship in this country. So we are just pleading to the government. They should absorb us into the mainstream customs or find elsewhere for us. It's not a new practice. It's been done before. VAT, with the inception of VAT, they enlisted some of them into VAT for them to go on secondment. The same other guards, customs and exercise were there. When they dissolved the border guards, they absorbed them into customs and it became preventive units. We know it's a contract. It's ended 5 years. We are just pleading to them. They should give us some way that we can find money to feed our siblings and our family. But as I said, it's their contract. We are just appealing to their conscience. We are pleading to them. They should absorb us into the mainstream customs or even the West Blue that they are bringing on board.
It is not easy. This journey is very difficult. Where are we going to start from? How? The economy is very hard.
I'm a family man. I have a wife and 2 children. So thankfully my wife works, but until I get a job, it means there's only one stream of income into the family. Basically, that's what it means. And I'm sure it means the same for almost every other person in the company.
Because most of us are very young. Most of us joined this company from school. And so all the training that we've had has been specific in this direction. And so living here means starting all over again.
Meanwhile, a human rights court is set to rule on Monday whether government can implement the single window scheme. And that's it for Business News.
Business News.
Joma Jamang is here to bring us all the details. And of course, my biggest story for the day is the Usain Bolt win.
It had to be that one.
It had to be that one. Anyway, I'll leave you to carry on with the rest of it.
Well, a lot more coming up, including that brilliant one by Usain Bolt coming up shortly. Well, we'll do a lot more and start with the All African Games before we get to see the action from the Beijing Olympic Stadium where Usain Bolt was in dominant action. Team Ghana preparing seriously for the All African Games. We visited the camp of the Ghana Tennis Federation who are going to be representing us with the golden rackets. Jeffrey Bagabase is the skipper of the team.
I started saying my team has been, preparing so well because, since the management and we still manage our way to find ways and means to train, and we've been training for almost 5 weeks now, and I think the team has shown, good performances in their trainings, and they've been in great form as well because some of our players have been playing, in their futures, like George Darkon, for instance. Wisdom also won the recent ranking, and Benjamin Fumo also played in the final. So I think they are all in top form, and I think we prepared and motivated as well.
Let's get to see the action from the Beijing Olympic Stadium. And now in 2008, what a name he made for himself. And 7 years down the line, the young man is still making himself so big on the racetrack. No one just can't seem to go past him at the moment. Usain Bolt doing a double in China. Well, we do a lot more on athletics. Team Ghana should have been there, represented by 2 athletes. Unfortunately, they've not been able to make it as a result of visa issues. And the former GA boss, George Luchard, is calling for the resignation of current boss, Professor Francis Dodu, as a result of his inability to get the athletes to compete.
Ghana has performed very well in the World Championship before. Geisha won a silver medal. in the long jump. Margaret Simpson won the bronze medal to be number 3 in the world in the heptathlon. So we have been on the world stage. We should not try and limit ourselves to African or regional stages. I think that more of a resignation matter is your handling of the World Championship.
We'll do some news on the transfer front now, and one of African interest, Alex Song, we understand, might not be staying at a Western.
Now, Ghana would, by the end of this year, have a comprehensive database on apprentices in the country. The database is expected to help shape government policies towards the informal sector. The project, being coordinated by the Informal Sector Development Foundation, IDEF, was launched today in Accra.
About 80% of skills development in Ghana is done through traditional apprenticeship. These apprentices later form a chunk of informal sector workers in the country. However, there's currently no comprehensive national database that gives information on how many apprentices are churned into the informal sector. According to the Informal Sector Development Foundation, IDEF, it has become crucial for such information to be made available because of the contribution of the informal sector, which it says constitutes about 85% of the country's workforce to the economy.
A data will give you an insight to know that how many of your youth in this country today are into apprenticeship. How many of them graduate every year from apprenticeship? So when you are formulating policies in trying to provide for their needs, you can be able to work out this based on availability of the data. It is done in elsewhere. You Google apprenticeship in Australia today, they will tell you the total number of youth in apprenticeship. But if you Google Ghana today, the total number of youth in apprenticeship, the computer might just crash because there is no information out there to provide a comprehensive data.
The project is receiving support from government. Deputy Chief of Staff Johnny Osekofi lauded IDEF for the initiative.
When you have that data, then you could be grouping the various participants in the whole activity into their proper groups. Some may be clothes designers, but some have bigger establishments, some are just starting. Would you treat them the same? So that information that we have in terms of numbers, in terms of locations, I think it's something that we must support.
The project would begin in the Greater Accra region.
Hydroquinone is an active ingredient found in most skin lightening products. In high amounts, the chemical has a tendency to cause serious harm. Health experts have thus warned against the use of skincare products which contain more than 2% hydroquinone. Some even prefer such products are avoided altogether. Well, effective next year, the Food and Drugs Authority intends to enforce a ban on the sale of such skin bleaching products. Head of Communications at the authority, James Latte, says his outfit will prosecute any merchants found to be selling products with high levels of hydroquinone.
I'm saying that when it comes to skin lightening products, currently, FDA allows 2% of hydroquinone that it can be in it. But from 2016, that is I think August, all skin lightening products are supposed to be hydroquinone free, meaning that 0% hydroquinone, and this is going to be enforced from next year.
Right, up next we bring you international news. Please stay tuned. Now, Usain Bolt, after the incident, joked that they were trying to kill him. Of course, no one was trying to kill him. It was just an accident. That's it for the bulletin. Before we go a quick run through our top stories, key personalities have formalized their interest in running for parliament on the ticket of the National Democratic Congress as the party opened nominations today. The opposition New Patriotic Party has meanwhile petitioned ECOWAS over its call for a new voters register for the 2016 polls. Police in Kumasi are on a manhunt for 2 suspects said to be the city's car snatching kingpins. Accra Mayor Alfred Van der Poel has assured the city's garbage disposal problems will be over once the AMA is able to acquire its new landfill site at Ashalaja here in Accra. And in business, former President Kufuor is urging government to take drastic measures to save the local currency from total collapse. That's it for the bulletin. My name is Israelai. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good evening.
This is Joy News Prime.